everyone, welcome back to another of the Van the Collective videos.
Yep, so we are a group of like-minded caravanners, motorhomers, campervanners, of which the other channel's logos will be around here. So this month's subject is actually a really interesting one. So it's a fantasy van conversions, basically. However, we're going to walk around the caravan and we're going to tell you what we'd want to change. But I think you'll quite quickly realise that I guess it's a list of things that we don't necessarily like about our caravan that we would change if we could. So we're going to do this in two categories. One is realistic changes, just maybe simple movements of certain things. The other one is a little bit more sort of, it's not unrealistic. I think some of these things are probably on the market, maybe not in caravans, but in cars and things like that. But maybe if there's some manufacturers watching, you can take some ideas from us and we'll thank you for it later, and put it all into one caravan. Yeah, we're trying to sort of think a little bit outside the box with that category because, like I say, we've not necessarily seen it in any caravan before, but it's just things that we think would make caravan life easier. And make sure you keep watching to the end to hear maybe a few of our ideas that are a little bit more unrealistic, maybe some sensational changes to our caravan. We live in 2025 and I think anything is possible these days. Another thing that just sort of come into my mind when we were listing this sort of stuff is, you know, I used to caravan when I was a kid and not a lot has changed with caravans. I mean, you know, we're on the site with older caravans. They're the same thing, and it frustrates the life out of me that there's teething problems with caravans that you got 30-40 years ago and you're still getting them in this day and age. Right, so we're going to go for a little walk around the caravan and we're going to have a look at some of the realistic changes. I appreciate that you might not be able to get all of these put into one caravan because it's going to dramatically change the cost for one, and probably the weight as well, which is something that a lot of caravans struggle with. They might be a little less fantasy than maybe the title is going to give you. However, that's the name of the subject for this month, and that's what we're going to deliver. Firstly is this little light switch here. I want that to be on that end. There's so many times where we're sat, as Sara is now, in the corner, and you sit down and you think, oh, I want the light on or I want the light off. Demonstrate how much easier it would be to push there rather than to reach all the way over to flick it off there. The other thing is we are blessed with USB ports, but we would really appreciate some USB-C now. That seems to be the way forward. We also really like the Baileys that have the massive long window up here, and we've also seen caravans that have really, really long skylights. One thing that we would like is the barn style door, where you can open the top half and leave the bottom half closed. It would work really well with him in the summer when we want to get a bit of air into the caravan or we're cooking, but obviously it means that he can't go out. When we bought the caravan, we did speak to the dealer, and the dealer did say that there are some security issues with the barn doors, which is why now caravans, a lot of them are moving to the solid door.
So I need to put my sunglasses on for this one. We've seen it at the NEC show, not in a caravan, in a motorhome, but is the automated blinds opening and closing. So you sort of say, hey Google or hey Alexa, and then it will obviously close or open the blinds for you, which would be very helpful right now. Blinds up,
Blinds down, lights on, lights off.
So the L-shaped kitchen would be quite nice. Obviously it gives you that extra little bit of worktop space. Ideally, if we could change the tap, we'd like one with the little hose on the end to be able to swill around the sink, but to swill the dishes or anything that we're washing. And then everybody by now should know that I would like the additional electric hob. We've just got the 3 gas burner, but I would love to have one of the electric hobs. We'd also prefer to have the option to remove the oven and have it as an additional storage space, so an additional cupboard. That would also obviously mean that there'd be less weight in the caravan that you could use for something else.
We would really like to have some boarding or something around the windows. I think this bedroom window here just looks a little bit clinical compared to the front, doesn't it?
So in terms of the bed, obviously this is in the day position, but the bed doesn't actually go in that far, so we'd prefer to have a larger space to be able to push it back into.
Yeah, so it goes in as much as that. So that is the insert that goes in behind it. The bigger that would be, the more you could shift it the other way. And Sara wouldn't, but I would also like a little window above my head there. Our shower is not particularly small, but with me being not particularly small either, I would probably prefer a little bit more room. It would also be really good to have a bigger hot water tank, just so that we can shower without turning it off in between shampooing and conditioning.
So whether it's in the bathroom or in an additional place, we would like a full length mirror. We'd also like to have a bit of a softer magnet on the door. Whilst it's great in case the wind does blow, particularly when I leave early in the morning to go to work and the door accidentally goes boom.
We always try and stop it, don't we? But if the caravan's not level, or you've got a bag on and you knock it, and as soon as it hits the magnet, you're like,
oh. And then it's to pull it back off the magnet again, makes a noise. So maybe a bit of a weaker magnet or a quieter magnet, maybe.
Yeah. And I know there's lots of people who stick things over the magnet to quieten it a little bit, but it is a catch-22, because when it's windy,
it's ideal.
Yeah. We would also like an auto levelling system, and it is something that we have spoke about recently, so watch out, we might be looking into that. Obviously, that's another thing that eats into your payload. That is the thing that bugs me probably the most about any caravan, is the payload and the amount of stuff that you can't take with you, because you get a limited amount anyway, and then when you start putting things in like, you know, your battery, your motor movers, your solar panel, that sort of stuff, it leaves you with absolutely next to nothing. And another frustration is, and some of you will already know this, and some of you it might come as a bit of a surprise, you can pay to upplate your payload. It's basically a sticker. So when I first looked into it, I was like, oh, what structural changes do you make? And they're like, no, you pay like £80 for a sticker that says you can carry more. There are reasons why dealers don't do that in the first place, and some of that is down to a bit of a sales technique, so they can, when someone walks in with a smaller tow car, then obviously the caravan appears to be lighter, I guess, but you can obviously put more stuff in it. So structurally, the caravan is capable of carrying more than what it says, and you just have to pay for a sticker. The other thing that I don't like with this door, particularly more in the evening than the day, is when you're on the outside, you just push the caravan to, no problem. When you come in the day and you haven't got to be quiet, you can slam the door, no problem. When you took the dog out at midnight and you're trying not to be loud for the neighbours, when you pull that in, you have to really pull it to be able to get the lock across. This handle just doesn't feel like it's capable of being pulled like that. So yeah, sometimes you do have to give it a bit of a slam just to be able to lock it, which not ideal for your neighbours at 3 in the morning.
No, and I know I've seen on some Facebook groups about people saying that their dogs got out and stuff because they've jumped up and sort of opened the handle. And I saw another few comments this week actually about how someone was a bit concerned about their children. They have a sort of similar layout to us and their child sleeps at the front, but then they're worried about them getting up in the middle of the night and going out.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that and hadn't considered it, and Sara told me about it yesterday. And actually, we don't leave Reggie in the caravan ever, but actually it's quite concerning because Reggie would sit up here on the sofa. If he leant, and bearing in mind he's quite a clever dog, and once he's done something once, he'll remember, he's only got to lean on there and go like that. And, well...
he's free.
Yeah, that's his garden then. But as soon as he's done that once, he will know that that's all he's got to do to get out. And whilst he's not an escaping dog, he's fine off the lead and that sort of stuff. If we weren't with him, he would, and some dogs would go. And to be fair, he's probably not quite big enough to actually be able to reach it from the floor. But there's plenty of dogs that would be able to. You wouldn't dream of it, would you, mate? So these are probably some of the things that are not necessarily on the market at the moment in a caravan, but I don't think would be unrealistic to ask for. So the first thing is a 360-degree reversing camera or camera on the caravan. It would require probably 4 cameras. I will overlay a clip now, but in the Volvo it has 4 cameras and there's a picture of a car. I mean, it's not our car, but it basically shows you all around. So our reversing camera is great, but you can then only see the back, you can't see the sides. And where we're pitched today, you know, there's a post to the side of us, and it would be great to be able to see all around. I would really appreciate some sort of central lock-in where, let's have a look here, you've got 2 locks for the front locker, you've got a lock, for example, on the electric box, and then you've got 2 locks here, one for the toilet cassette and one for the toilet flush fluid. Yeah, we would really like one central lock so that you can turn it to open it and they all become unlocked, and you turn it to close it, because when I'm setting up, you've put the key in the door, you've left it in the door, then you come around here and you've got to come back and get the key. Yeah, I think some sort of central lock-in would be good. I also quite fancy some windows that are that have one-way sort of tint on them. We sit until, as Reggie, you can see me, we sit until we go to bed really with the blinds down. We like to be able to see out, but particularly at night there could be someone sort of pressed right up against the window and you wouldn't be able to see them. So yes, having some one-way windows would be good. You can see our TV aerial on top of the roof here. I would really like an aerial that goes up and down automatically, and I would also like something that searches for a signal and aims itself automatically as well, because sometimes on some sites it can be a right pain to get it in the right direction. I would also like there to be some sort of automatic check-in system, a bit like a checklist, the manual checklist, but would check for things that you need to do before travelling, like checking that the windows are locked, checking that the fridge is locked, that the skylights are down and shut, the TV area is down, the doors are locked, the lockers are locked, the black button is switched on. There's a lot to remember before towing safely, so some sort of digital checklist would be ideal. I would also like windows that have one handle on rather than 3. When you're sitting there at night and you want to let a bit of fresh air in, it's a pain sometimes to have to open all 3 handles, and I'm not sure why. If you know, please let me know in the comments why our front windows, I don't know if you can see that because the sun is quite bright, but why our front windows have buttons to push to open and the side windows don't. I can't really think of a reason, unless it's to do with vibration maybe or something like that. But yeah, if you know, let us know why we have buttons to push on the front windows and not on the sides.
Thanks so much for watching our video. We hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I will play the logos of the other channels on the screen again now. Links to their channels will also be in the description, so make sure you head over and check them out. Thank you very much for watching. Please drop us a comment if you can think of any other fantasy changes that you'd want to make to your caravan or motorhome. And I'm sure there's people out there that have probably made some of these changes. Particularly, we talked about, you know, some of the electric stuff. If you know what you're doing, and I would advise you not to, but if you know what you're doing, I'm sure there's plenty of people that have made some of these changes. Yeah, just let us know what you've done in your caravan that's made life easier for you. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you
in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.